Hey y'all, it's Danii Gold, and this podcast is sponsored by the Anchor app. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First off, it's free, and who doesn't like free stuff? And it also has creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. It will also distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So go ahead and download the free Anchor app, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started. What's going on, y'all? It's your girl, Danii Gold, and welcome to the Gold Spot Podcast. So today I have a lovely guest with me here today. She's a very, very talented singer, and she's an entrepreneur. So I welcome Shai Lynn to the Gold Spot Podcast. How's it going, sis?
It's going good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm glad you're excited to be on the podcast, the very early stages of the podcast. So, you have an amazing voice, and it definitely has like a 90s twang to it to me. So, when did you first notice that singing was a passion of yours and that it was something that you were good at?
Honestly, at the age of 2, most people will say, "Oh, girl, you making it up." But I was so passionate as a kid. I think more passionate than I am now. But I went through that little period where, it was just like I was afraid. But the passion started when I was really little. Like my mom had me in plays. I was singing. I mean, on pitch. I mean, actually performing and singing. So I knew that was there. But I rediscovered it in college. And then from there, that's where I am now.
So, growing up, like since you knew at such a young age, who were some of your musical influences growing up where you were like, oh, I want to sound like that, or you just kind of picking up on the way that they sang their music?
Well, honestly, I never really had an influence as far as I wanted to sound like somebody, but I definitely had influence on how powerful I wanted it. I wanted to take basically, you can say sound like some people in certain aspects, like take certain power from like Whitney Houston, the range, the register, the cleanness of her riffs and runs, Layla Hathaway, Brandy, Jasmine Sullivan, Beyonce, um, oh God, Lena Horne, people like that. Gladys Knight, stuff like that. I like old school singers. I know and people are like, oh my God, get with the times. But I like old school singers because they're depth in how they sing. Like I said, the range, just the way that they sing with so much passion. But at the same time, the tonality is just amazing. You fall in love with their tone.
And they also laid out like the blueprint of like artists that we listen to now and even in the 90s. So it's good to go back, that far in time just to listen to some of the originals, the ones who kind of started what we're listening to now.
Yes, ma'am.
But as far as like the current times go, how has the pandemic changed the way that you pump out content and music and things of that sort? Since you can't, go on performances like do performances like you would normally do.
The pandemic has definitely made me tap into a creative realm that I've never thought that, we'll be able to open up. You never thought it existed, but it's always like when you're given something, these are the cards that you're dealt. You have to know how to play them. You got to come up with ways to win. So it has definitely, with this music, made me come up with creative videos, creative visuals, just actually get more deep into my music so that when we do these visuals, people are able to see through the screen because they can't physically touch me. They can't physically feel, like when you're in concerts, the feeling in the concert in the room is just so different. So I got to make sure that even when I'm just shooting a video or whatever I'm doing, that same spirit or whatever transcends, through the screen as well as it did while people were in the room.
So did you enjoy being quarantined in the house just so you can, focus on your music, or was it one of those things where you wish that you can get out of the house and, go to a park and look at some scenery so that way it could be part of your creative process? Like, how did you adjust to it? Was it kind of hard, or was it just kind of like, oh, I like being in the house. This nothing for me?
It was like I was always a homebody, but at the same time, I'm always moving because of music. So I'm going to rehearsal.
Hmm.
We're going to, to a show. So when it was like, oh, you're forced to stay in, I lost it. It's like running in circles because I'm also like up and down. I can't really sit too long. You know what I'm saying? I got to keep it moving. So at the same time, it kind of put a little barrier on, you know, what was going on. It made me sit down and actually, like I said, going back to the creative process. It helped me to create new ideas, to keep myself busy and understand that this is a good time. It's a good season. You can actually write from a place where people don't know. You can start talking about serious things. You can get people, you know, invite people into who you are, because people like the realness. So in a sense, it did bring about creativity, but at the same time, in the beginning, it was so hard, like super hard.
Mm-hmm. Especially to adjust, because it's different when you're a homebody and you have the
Yes.
choice to be in the house. But then when it's like, oh, I don't have a choice, so I mean I can't go nowhere even if I wanted to.
Right. Right.
It's a different feeling. It's like, well, that's no fun. I want to be able to get out when I want to. So it definitely, I'm sure it's been an adjustment for, for everyone, especially entertainers, in the end, like, the higher ups in the industry. How do you feel
Exactly.
about the way, like, there are virtual award shows and performances during this time? Like, do you just feel motivated and inspired by these entertainers who, in these networks like BET, how they're still going on with the show? They're just like, oh, we're just gonna do it virtually, or do you, like, pretty much, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, After seeing the BT Awards, virtually, I felt like you had a strong standout artist, because everybody aren't with the times. They can't get with the times. And then you had people that they wasn't so strong in the area. I don't think that it was that some of these award shows were like thought through. I think people are just trying to put content out because they want people to stay
Mm-hmm.
relevant. And it's like, you would have had a better chance of just replaying old ones in a
Yeah.
sense. I do feel like we should really think these things through, especially if we're going to do this virtually. If my whole thing is, okay, if you're going to do it virtually, you can invite just the artists. They can perform like regularly.
I thought
They
about
can
that too.
perform and no audience. You know,
I
move them in, move
completely
them
agree.
out.
I thought about that too. I definitely agree.
Because a lot of that stuff didn't really flow and it didn't make sense. And it's like, come on now, we be looking forward to these award shows, you know, everything. And it's just like, no, don't do us like that.
Mm.
You can give us a show, it's just no audience. People know what time it is.
Exactly. And at that time when BET did it, it was still kind of strict, versus now
Yeah,
things have kind of eased up a little bit. So
yeah,
I wonder, like, moving forward, what's BET gonna do, like, with the hip hop awards, what's, the Grammys, what are they gonna do? The Oscars, the Golden Globes, the Emmys, I want, oh, even the MTV Awards, that's coming up like next week.
yeah, yeah,
So I wonder what they all have planned in that aspect, because it's different when you have the hosts who are, they're telling these jokes, and it's like, no one can laugh because no one's there with you, so it's kind of awkward. So
exactly.
it's just really different. So I definitely agree with you. I, just talking with my friends and, talking with them about it, they're like, oh, it's nice to, see the people get creative. But at the same time, I'm thinking, but why couldn't they just have invited just the artists just to perform? That would have made sense. But,
Exactly.
some people probably feel like, hey, I got all this equipment at home, I ain't got to go nowhere. So that's probably why.
Exactly. And you know what? Even with that, it's just a way that it could have been done better.
Hmm.
Like I did love Megan's video. You know, we get in
Oh
those award
yeah.
shows, we get people every now and again that they'll throw a video in there that's not able to make it, which is
Hmm.
fine. I definitely love that, but I also felt like we could have got some live version type music as well.
No, I agree. I completely agree. So as far as your music goes, I know you just released your single "Don't See It" featuring Chandler. How
Yeah.
often do you work with St. Louis artists and producers?
Well, my producer's the St. Louis producer, and honestly, I don't know. I wasn't really big on features. I'm not against features. I have definitely done features on other people's projects. And a lot of the stuff hasn't, it hasn't came out yet, or some of the stuff has came out. So it's not really like a everyday thing. It's probably like a every couple months or whatever, or every other year type deal. Because a lot of times I can't think about everything. People do
Hmm.
present me with a lot of music in St. Louis, but I have an image to uphold. So a lot of stuff I'll be like, I'm just not good for this. The song is hot, but I know I can't get on there because I have to still protect who I am.
Right. You gotta
So
definitely
it's
put
not
your
often for me. Right.
no, I understand. So in your single, hard to let you go, you have a little small brandy sample in there where it's like sitting up in my room. I
Yes,
was like,
ma'am.
oh, wait a minute. I was like, okay, I heard Brandy in here. So how do you feel about Brandy's comeback with her latest album, B7? I'm
My
guessing you're a
God.
big fan of hers.
I am. My God. All I can say is what she did with that album is she opened it up for true creatives and people that want to sing about their life, what they're going through, and not have to worry about if it's trending or not. She made
Hmm.
it a trend. So she definitely opened up a realm for independent artists. I love the album. And not just because I'm a fan of her, but I understood her work. I felt her work. And she was more relatable than she probably thought.
Yeah, I definitely vibe to it. I was like, okay, Brandy, and just on the strength that everything else has been, everything else that's been coming out, like as far as Moesha just hit Netflix, and then
Yeah.
this album comes out, so it's like Brandy's super relevant right now. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
she like popping right now, and I
Right.
always loved Moesha growing up. So just by default, I always just love Brandy. So to me, it's like, oh well, she can't do no wrong, or why y'all getting on Brandy? Leave her alone. So with the album, I vibe to it, and it's just something that okay, will be set for another few years because it seems like she'll make an album and then like she'll take a 4 year, 5 year break. But I think with this one,
Hmm.
she took about like 7 or 8. But
Yeah, it's been a
regardless, she
minute
still jumped back in, and it wasn't a bad album at all. So
at
yeah.
all. At
So
all. It
another
was good.
like at all, like it was, I loved it. So I have no complaints with it. But as far as this is one of your old singles called Ghost. It was a
Yeah.
really deep song. I was listening to it and I was like, oh my God. And it's pretty self-explanatory, like within the lyrics for, anyone who hasn't heard it, y'all need to listen to
Yeah.
it. It's one of her older songs, but it's definitely self-explanatory. Um, what headspace were you in when you wrote the song? Like, was it feelings from your past, or was it just some feelings from a current situation that you were dealing with at the time? Because didn't you release it like what, about 5 years ago?
Yeah, I released it about 5 years ago. Actually, I was expressing to my producer and everything. I call him everything. Everybody knows that. CJ, the writer, I was expressing to him about something because at that time I wasn't writing. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know how to write. I just knew I wanted to tell the truth, but I didn't want to tell people my business because I've always
Hmm.
been private. But I was like, you can write, so help me. And I explained to him how I felt. I probably cried to him and everything. And that's how Ghost came about. We're actually going to redo Ghost and put that out again. It may be on my album because I have an album coming up. But the song was actually what I was going through. I mean, heck, I'm dealing with that now. It doesn't mean that it's like it's happening right now, but I'm
Hmm.
still feeling the residue of that situation.
Wow. So it only just makes sense for you to just re-release it and just, especially with the different kinds of technology and marketing that you can use now versus back in
Yeah.
2015. So it makes
Yes.
sense. I definitely like it because I was listening to it and I was like, wait, when did she release this? I was like, 5 years ago. This sounds like something that'll hit today.
Yeah.
So I commend you for wanting to re-release it just because it's a nice song.
Thank you.
But you're welcome. You're welcome. So we're going to take a little breaky break. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you a few more questions and then we're going to play a little game. So are you down with that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. We'll be back, y'all. All right, y'all. We are back. So, Shy, you keep dropping all these dope singles. And I know you said you have an album coming. So when should we be expecting this album, if you can tell or give us like a guesstimate?
I'm in the studio like crazy now. I'm actually going to be recording today. But I would say probably the end of this year. Something I want to say probably around Thanksgiving or probably surprise everyone at the top of the year because I probably got like one or two more singles to release with
Hmm.
some dope visuals. But probably at the end of this year or the top of next year for the album. But it's coming. It's on the way. It's close. Closer than you guys think.
I'll definitely be looking out for it because as I was listening to your singles, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, where's okay, she don't have an album, so you just go skip a EP, you just go skip the EP process and just go straight to an album.
Well, that's what we're in between right now, trying to decide if we want to do an EP or just a full album. Everybody's pretty much leaning towards the full album. It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
It would.
might as well, might as
Exactly.
well. I'll definitely be looking forward to it because, like I said, I really do enjoy your voice, and it just sounds like you're an artist who's already out there. You know how some artists, you can tell that they need a little bit more work,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
especially singers. But with you, it sounds like you're already an artist that's out there. Like you sound familiar, but I don't know who you sound like. Like I'm like, okay, she kind of sound like somebody, but I don't know who it is. But you just have that sound where you're already out there. You're already known. You know how you listen to a Mary
Right.
J. Blige, like, okay, you know Mary, you
Right.
know, you may know Ashanti or, somebody. So
Right.
that's why I was saying with your voice, like, she sounds like she already out here, but you
Thank
definitely
you. I
have it
appreciate
all.
it. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. So who would be your dream collaboration, dead or alive, or even current times? Who would you
I
love to work with? Like your
hate this
top three people?
question. You said three?
Yeah, 3. I
I hate
usually
this
say
question.
one, but since you're an R&B singer, it's kind of hard to pick just one. So I give you your top 3, dead or alive.
Beyonce, of course. It's just because I like everything that she has to offer vocally. It's not a certain dimension or whatever. She, being a pop artist is cool. Of course, like, oh my God, this is unfair. And anybody that falls under Beyonce, anybody that falls under Whitney Houston, anybody that falls under Michael Jackson, because I'm a fan of the Chris Brown, I'm a fan of Brandy, I'm a fan of Jasmine Sullivan. Like anybody you can think of, like that's so unfair. So many people I want to collab with because I want to learn from them. So that is
Mm,
so unfair for me. But yeah,
Jasmine Sullivan, woo,
he's
her voice. Oh my God. Like she
ridiculous.
has such a strong voice. And it's like, oh Jesus. Like
He's been singing that
it's
way
just
since
some of them songs you listen to with her. It's just like, whoa, you get goosebumps. Like it just reminds you of
right.
like a Whitney Houston where you like, oh Lord, you didn't hit my
Yes.
soul.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So more so on the hip hop side, how do you feel about Cardi B and Megan's song slash video WAP? I know you say you have an image to protect, and I'm sure it's not like I can tell it's not an image like Megan or Cardi. But how do you feel about them empowering themselves and being open with their sexuality in the song and in the video?
Honestly, they really paid homage to the old song. Everybody know
Yeah.
how it goes because it comes on before the record hit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm not against the song. That's what they do. And if anybody was listening to Cardi, she was talking about in her relationship. Anybody was listening to Megan, they're talking about when they're dating somebody. They wasn't really just saying
Mm-hmm.
like they outside, but they was painting the picture that it's a whorehouse. But I don't
Right.
feel that way. I'm like, do your thing, girl. Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
do. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was cool. I ain't gonna lie. I probably can't do it publicly, but you better know I'm jamming.
Right.
I'm definitely jamming to it. But I loved it. I wouldn't lie to you. I thought it was
That's
cool.
good.
I thought the collab was cool. It looked real fun. I like things that look fun.
It did look fun. It just seemed like the whole video from the graphics and everything was just
Right.
it was just so dope from, them having current female rap artists at the end of the video. It just seems like there was just a bunch of fun on that set, just period.
Right. It looked fun.
For sure, for sure. So since Brandy, like we were talking about Brandy earlier, she's she's an R&B singer from the 90s. How do you feel
Hmm.
about the current state of R&B in regards to artists like Tiana Taylor, Kehlani, Summer Walker, Snow Allegra, Victoria Monet, like
Hmm.
her,
Yeah.
like how do you feel about the current state of R&B right now?
All the girls that you name, I feel like they're bringing it back into its original form.
Hmm.
I'm a fan of Snow. I'm a fan of her. I'm a fan of Kalani. I'm a fan of Summer. Everybody you name, like Tiana Taylor. That's my girl. I love her. Like I know her. Look, but I'm a fan of them because they bring those old school vibes. And people are like, oh, what you mean old school? Like they tell a story in their music. It's vibe. It's harmony. It's soothing. It touches you. It makes you feel. It makes you bop. You know, all in one. And her, I'm just a completely different fan of because her is a musician. She got gospel roots, you know what I'm saying? So it's just she's super relatable. But everybody else, they sound good in what they do. And I love those ladies. So I feel good about the wave of R&B and how things are moving with those strong women right there. So yeah.
So how do you feel about like the male R&B artists? Like, you know, we had Usher and I'm trying to think.
Because I love me some Usher.
I know, right? So, you know, we
Now,
had
he's on his
Usher
concert.
and that's one thing. I've never been to an Usher concert,
Oh my
unfortunately.
God.
But I done been to a Chris Brown concert, a couple
Me
of them.
too.
So
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about on the male side as far as R&B goes? Do you feel pretty much the same as the women? Like they're keeping it relevant, they're still, you know, they doing their thing, especially Chris Brown. Like he stays coming out with some bop.
See, I don't even really. He comes out with some stuff. I just put him as like a popular artist, but he brings all the vibes. I'm a fan. Like I love
Hmm.
Chris Brown. To know me, you know that I love him. He does no wrong. Period. But as far as the male R&B, we still have some of the old school. We don't really have like new school. They done tried to tap in and stuff like that. But we don't really have no new school. If you think about it, the old school are really staying relevant. Chris Brown is about to be considered middle old school, but they stay relevant. You know, Tank is steady putting out albums. Jamie Foxx and stuff like that. But let me see. It's a guy that Kalani did a song with. I think it's called Change or Changes. He's pretty
Oh,
dope. Um,
on her current album?
no, it's his album. She did a
Oh, it's
feature.
his album.
Yeah,
Oh.
she did a feature. A lot of those discovered people from YouTube and stuff, they popping. I cannot.
Hmm.
Oh, it's Armand and Trey. They good.
Oh yeah, the brothers. Yeah, they're good. They're
It's
really,
a
really,
lot. It's
really
a lot
good.
of people, you know. So they're tapping into it. I just don't think that they really, you know, dropped albums and stuff to make them, you know, continue to play them and stuff like that. Because people aren't really playing them. You know, we got to go listen to them on Apple Music, and it's like this is good
Absolutely.
music. This is great music. This needs to be
They're
played
just not
everywhere.
super mainstream. Like
That's the
Xavier
problem.
Omar, I
Yeah.
love his music, and even
Yeah.
Division. Their songs are on the radio, but you know, like on the R&B radios, but they can
Mm-hmm.
still be even more popping.
Exactly.
So I kind of like that some of these artists are kind of like they're known, but they're not super mainstream because it
I
seems
like
like
that.
when they get mainstream, their sound changes, and then they don't sound like the same artist that we thought they were when they were the ones putting their music on
Right.
Apple Music and Spotify and not a record label or something like that. I like when they're kind of low key because then you get all these bandwagon fans. They
Mm-hmm.
get on the radio, they sound change, and then all of a sudden it's hard for them to go back to what they were originally pumping out
And
as
the
far.
reason for that is because these artists right now, they're staying independent. You can't talk them into no different thing. And if you do talk them into coming out of independent, they still have to own it. So they're
Hmm.
setting themselves up properly. So even when they go mainstream, they still own it.
I agree.
So
I agree. It
yeah, I
is
think the
definitely
males are
more.
killing too.
I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I was just going back to the original statement of the males are, you know, killing just as well as the women.
Yeah,
Strong, real strong. They're like good vocals.
I agree. I definitely agree. So switching focuses here, you just recently opened up an online boutique. It's called Summer
Yes.
Clothing, right?
Summertime clothing. Yes, ma'am.
Summertime Clothing. And you got some nice stuff on there. What made you want, take that business entrepreneur route? Because you do music, you're an artist, but then you have this boutique. So what made you want to do that?
I've actually been an entrepreneur for a while. We own an advanced childcare facility that I'm part owners of with my grandmother. But what made me want to start summertime by myself is, you know how you travel with your girls or people are just traveling and you always hear people say, I cannot find us a swimsuit or I can't find no sandals.
Hmm.
And it's winter because they're going on a vacation. So you have
Yep.
to wait. It's like Miami, LA, or just, you know, out the country to get those things. So why not have those things here? They can pick them up in the States and then, you know, do what they got to do, go where they got to go, and not have to worry about that. But I also sell in-season clothing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the
Clever.
idea came from.
That's super clever though, because I've been in that predicament where I'm like, oh, I need a swimsuit, and I'm trying to find it for discounted price because it's the winter time when I'm planning a trip that's somewhere warm and I'm gonna be on the beach. So it's definitely hard. So you were on to something. You were on to something when you created that because you can find stuff all year round. Plus, you're also in with the current season.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So besides being an entrepreneur, what would you be doing if you decided not to sing anymore?
Um, I would probably be a lawyer.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
different.
yeah, I kind of still want to pursue that dream of being a lawyer, and I'll still be an artist, but do everything. Everything's online now, so I have no choice. But I get to do everything from home, and fight my own cases as far as it's concerned, and write my own stuff up, and not have to really go through a lawyer. My lawyer is amazing, by the way, but not have to really go through anybody else or pay those fees. I can do my own thing. But I like the criminal justice field. I love all of that, so that's what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing music, honestly.
That's good that you have like a backup plan in essence because some people really don't know. And with you, you're like, oh, I'll become a lawyer. It's no biggie. So that's good that you have that in the back of your mind just in case. I won't say singing won't work, but it's just
Right.
also something that you can be multitasking with. Like, okay, you're a lawyer,
Exactly.
like you're the singing lawyer. Like whenever you get, certified, to become a lawyer, you can be the singing lawyer. Like, okay, let me do these cases, and then tonight I have a performance at this place. So it's
Exactly.
it's nice balance. It's nice balance.
Exactly.
So besides the album coming, besides, you're running your businesses, what else do you have coming up like through the end of the year? Is it just mainly just the album? Like you just gonna be mainly focused on that, or do you have some other things up your sleeve that you can share?
Um, what I can't say where, but I will be moving out of St. Louis
Okay, okay.
to a more music place, that's gonna be better for the brand and help Shai Lynn grow as an artist. That won't change that I'm from St. Louis. I will
Right.
always rep St. Louis, but yeah, that's like a big thing for me. Yeah. But everything else is pretty much the album, all of that is going on. Oh, I have a video that'll be dropping next week. I'm also in
Ooh.
preparation of, and I was gonna get with you anyway. I'm gonna do a unity shoot, like a photo shoot. I'm gonna try to get in touch with as many St. Louis artists as I can that live here, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna do a unity shoot. We would do the Black Lives Matter thing. I'm pretty sure all St. Louis artists aren't black, but that's not the point. We would do the
Right.
Black Lives Matter shoot, and then we would do a Bouging shoot. And then after we take those pictures, we would sit down and have, dialogue, talk about different issues. Why is it hard for these groups to come together? How can we better our community as far as being artists? How can we come together? Because people listen to music. If we can shift our music into a more unified way, we can save our city. So that's the
That's a
vision
good
that I have, and I'm
concept.
actually
That's good. That's like a big thing. That's good that you're incorporating your music and then also opening up to something where you can talk about almost like an open forum where you can talk about, current things that's going on. So I respect that. That's what's up. That's
Yes,
what's
ma'am.
up.
Thank
I
you.
was actually going to ask you about, if you were thinking about, if you were pretty much, if you, I was actually going to ask you, would you consider moving out the state to pursue your music? But it seems like you already answered that. So
Yeah.
I
Yes,
was
ma'am.
I was definitely wondering because you do not saying you can't, be a singer here and pursue that dream here, but there are definitely other places bigger than St. Louis where you can pursue
Yeah.
that and you probably have, closer connections and
Yeah.
opportunities in different states. So
Yes,
that's what's
ma'am.
up. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we've come to the time where we're gonna play a little game. It's called Golden or Garbage. And what it is I'll give you two options and you can choose which one is golden and which one is garbage. Or if you don't want to give the other option garbage, you can just say which one is more golden than the other. That sound cool?
Perfect.
Okay, so I think I know who you're going to pick here just from, our previous conversation. I'm still going to give you, this question. In a versus battle, well, since it is coming up, in the versus battle, who do you have? Monica or Brandy?
Monica is sis, but Brandy is golden. Monica is garbage.
Dang, I told you you didn't have to call nobody garbage,
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
dang,
Okay,
okay.
more golden.
But no, you said it now, but no, it's cool. It's all good. So, in a hypothetical versus battle, who would you pick, Keisha Cole or Ashanti? Because I know they were talking about it.
Hmm. I would have to go with Ashanti. Ashanti got so many hits that people don't even know about. Ashanti has wrote so many records. That's why she's still relevant. Like her pen game is retarded. And people don't
Yes.
understand that the versus battle is not what they sing. It's what they, it's also songs that they have written.
Oh
So
yeah.
I would have to go with
You're right.
Ashanti.
You're right. You're right. So, in another hypothetical versus battle, who do you have? And I'll explain why I have these two in the same category after I give it to you. But SZA or Summer Walker. So to me, Summer Walker sounds a little bit like SZA, but SZA has been taking a little back seat or having some issues with her, with TDE. So she has been pumping out any music. So,
Mm-hmm.
in a like compared to the songs that she did have in her past album or albums or EPs and Summer Walker, who would you pick? SZA or Summer Walker?
Wow, this is crazy. I definitely love SZA's creativity and the different records I've heard her on. So I'm gonna have to go with SZA, more golden.
I
And
love,
from
I
St.
love.
Louis, but not just because of that. But SZA is just she has a different creativity. Like she's her music is broad. It's not just a one
Mhm.
dimensional. And that's how I decide on. I like people who can do different things and stuff like that. Summer Walker is an amazing artist.
It definitely her SZA's music. It definitely is pretty broad because I can hear a song on on like a Z1077 or something.
Yeah,
And Summer Walker, she has good music too, but I can't
yeah.
hear one. I can probably hear "Come Over" with her and Usher on the
That's the only
Z1077
song that I
more.
think could be a crossover record. That's the only record of
Hmm.
hers.
So far, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
I
far. Yeah.
agree. I definitely love me some SZA. So another hypothetical battle, Usher or Chris Brown. I'm making it hard now. I already know.
I'm gonna definitely go with Usher, more golden. They both are amazing artists, but people have to understand that Usher paved the way for Chris Brown. Usher records are timeless. Yes, Chris Brown has a lot of number ones, a lot of hits and stuff like that. But are we talking? I'm just saying, like when Usher was in his time or whatever, his prime, he was popping,
Yeah.
and there was a new time, so it's not his, it's not his age, so it's a little different. But when he was in his time, he was popping. Nobody could touch him. Okay, now Chris Brown is in his time, in his prime, and nobody can touch him. So I'm definitely gonna have to say Usher because he was first. But they
Okay.
both are my favorites.
Okay. Okay. So if you had to pick one of the two, and like just one, let's say you moving whenever you move, and you like, okay, let me get my last St. Louis meal before I dip. Which would you
Mm-hmm.
pick? Emos or some Chinese food from your favorite spot?
Oh, that's not fair. Can I get them both?
No, you can't have. I mean, you could, but man, that's
Yeah.
you have a lot of food on your journey, so and it's not gonna stay hot
And
the whole time.
those both of those are St. Louis style Chinese food and
Hmm.
and pizza. Oh
Absolutely,
man.
absolutely.
I guess I'll say emos.
Okay, it is hard. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what I would pick. I'd probably be fat and grab both, but we're not talking about me. We're talking about you. So, okay, so versus battle. Hypothetically, God rest both of their souls. Who would you
My
pick?
Lord.
I know, I know. I know it's gonna be hard. So, who would you pick? Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson?
That's they're not even in the same category.
I know. I just wanted to throw it out there because it was gonna be hard. And they both have timeless records.
Yes, Whitney Houston is definitely the voice, but just being honest, Whitney Houston didn't write a lot of her records.
Hmm.
Michael Jackson, he wrote majority of his records,
Right.
and he was amazing in what he did. Like nobody can go in the studio and do what that man did. Like I watched some of his clips of him recording. It's crazy. So I will have to go with Mike, but I'm a fan of Whitney Houston. But if we're gonna talk about an all around form, music, writing, everything, he definitely takes that.
That's true. But then you have Whitney Houston who, could sing and she could act.
Yep,
That's another thing.
that's another thing.
So
So that's why
many,
I said
so
that's
many
real
things to
hard.
consider.
It
That
is.
may be one of those things where if it was a hypothetical, if it could happen, it would have to be like a Erykah Badu and Jill Scott, where you couldn't even pick a side. It was just the vibe was everything. So you couldn't even pick which one was better in the versus battle because they both were just embracing each other like, oh yeah, I love that song.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that will probably have to be one of those. But that's all I got for you. I appreciate you coming on the Gold Spot podcast. Tell the people where they can follow you on and how they can listen to your music and all of that.
Okay, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. My name is Shai Lynn. You can follow me on all social media at Shai, ShaILYNN _music on Instagram, ShaiLynn Music on Facebook, ShaiLynn Music on Twitter, pretty much ShaiLynn Music on everything. Make sure you go download the single Don't See It featuring Chandler.
All right, y'all, and we're out.